because this is our third lily pad that we're doing. Basically, if you cannot cut stained glass, we're doing a simpler way. This is just with cut up tiles. So we'll get started with this one. We're just going to draw our circle in the middle. We've also prepped our board because it's an interior board. This one, this is a mix of PVA and water we've used to prep the board. So it's dried. I'm just drawing a circle on so we can do our 3D flower in here. And I'm going to cut up a whole lot of mirror circles. We'll do this in a little bit different to this one. This one I've just used the board chain, but I think this one we're going to edge it with half a mirror circle. So these ones are 12mm mirror circles. I'm just going to cut in half. And then we'll glue them with weld bond glue around the edging here. Right, so I'm going to outline these ones here. I've got an 8mm opaque tile. I'm just going to cut in half. I'm just going to go around here. This will just create a little channel for my 3D flowers. You don't have to do it, but I'm just going to do it on this one. I haven't done it on this one. It'll still be fine. But this one here, I'm going to pop it in. You're not really going to see the colour anyway once the flower goes on. Alright, next we're going to put in some board chain. So I'm just going to make this a little segment. So I'll just put it down. Let's have a look. I might put one here. So I've got tin snips to cut it. Okay, so I'm just working with a mixture of jade colours and different textures and shades of jade. So basically with these ones, we're just going to cut some smaller and we'll just work at each segment at a time. And so we'll do our first one here. Let me just cut up some, we might keep these ones whole. And we might actually just do less lines, I think, with this one. So let's just put our own lines, and now we've moved the circle out to here. I think we'll just create our own little lines. We've got these black lines as our guideline. Okay, so let's start with our first one here. So the idea is we are going to do this row here, and then we'll do the outside. So then once we've done those two, we can just work in on this one here. Focus on this one, and then we can do the next one. So this one I might just put a nice straight tile down. Our first one. Second one, I might use this colour here. These are the Murano Jade. I'm just going to cut them in half. So basically just sort of getting different sizes. Put one down here, and what I might actually do for a little bit of interest is I'm just going to add a little sparkly bit in there. And then that's our little segment there. So you can work on just doing the lines if you like, but I'm going to fill in with this one here. So basically I'm just going to work the next line and then the next line in. So this is going to be a smaller one, so let's have a look what we've got here. It's our first really tiny one. And we'll keep it going up the side. So right, we're just going to do a voice over here. I didn't realise the radio was on in the background, which YouTube don't like the radio music playing. So what I'm going to do now is put the ball chain in. I'm going to use quite a bit of glue here. This will just help to secure the ball chain as it does not have a flat surface. So pop a bit of Wild Bond glue in. I'm brushing it to the side, putting a bit of glue there, spreading it around. Then I'll place the ball chain in. It's also quite good to have a tile on the other side. That's just giving a bit of support while it's drying. So I usually put a tile down the side and have my ball chain. I don't usually do the ball chain first, then the tile around it. That just helps to support it, having that tile there. But yeah, and just go back and double check that it doesn't move and then carry on filling in. Clean up our little lily pad. So just putting a little bit of water on my cloth, circular motion. Make sure you clean out the centre. That's where our 3D flower is going to go. Buff with a dry cloth. Tidying up with a Q-tip just around the chain. There's a few different heights. I've got 3mm, there's 5mm there, and 4mm. So that just sort of tidies up and makes sure no tiles are buried. Oh, we've we've finished grouting our little lily pads. So what we're going to do now is do the 3D flower in here. I've got some orange petals, so these are pre-cut, so they're really handy if you haven't if you cannot cut glass. These are really handy to use. So they already come in these 2 different sizes. So what we're going to do is just going to round the tops of them with the cutters. So just take a little bit off the top and just soften those points, just so we get like a rounded shape on top. We'll just do that for some of them, not all of them. Just sort of tidies them up a wee bit as well. Okay, I've got all my elements ready. I've got my petals in different sizes. I've got my faceted gems, which I'm going to put in the center. My little floristry stamens. My tint for which was white grout, and I'm mixing just Mosaic Ultra Bond. So that's a solely white grout with the Ultra Bond, nothing else in there, no water or anything. And I will tint it with an orange tint from Utopia Tints. So I've just started mixing. I need to put a bit more additive in, which I'm shaking this up, and you want to get the consistency of a really thick peanut butter, almost like a nice clay kind of a mix, so it's really good for embedding. You don't want it to be too runny, otherwise your petals will start to fall down. So as I said, this was just white grout with the Mosaic Bond added, no water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a touch of the tint, and you only need a very small amount of this stuff here. It's very, very concentrated. You don't want to put too much in, otherwise it can actually compromise your adhesive mix. So all I want to do is just slightly colour it so it's not a very stark white. Alright, that's a pretty good consistency. So I'm going to let that sit for about 5 minutes, and then I'll just re-stir. Ready to go. A bit more of a stir up. So then what I'm going to do is pop it into the centre. And I want to have it sort of fairly thick through, so I'm looking at maybe maybe 15 mil high sort of in the centre, so you sort of push it into the side bits. And that's why it's good using these little palette knives. You can just sort of push it, or even a paddle pop stick if you need to. So that's sort of quite high through the middle, which gives me enough room for my embedding. Also, you can have on standby is just some thicker petals. Just a thicker tile. And these are quite handy just for little wedges. So I'll show you what I'll do with those. So pop that through. That looks pretty good. Right, so then we're just going to go through with our outer layer first, which will be the bigger petals. And if you want, you can just pop a little wedge under there just to hold them upright. The next one. You see how I'm slowly overlapping them? It just hides the adhesive. And that's your first layer. So just check they haven't moved down, and then we'll go through our next layer. So we have a couple of bigger ones in there and some smaller ones perhaps. what I'm going to do is go through these little faceted jewels. Just pop those in there. Just cut them a little bit shorter. Now, if they have a long bit on them like that, just cut that a bit shorter, because I find when you try and push those into the adhesive, because they're quite soft, they can bend. So we're going to cut those ones up, pop those ones. Oops. And that's your little lily pad all finished. So let that dry for about 24 hours. Yeah, I hope you like that one.